Hi. So to round up these special language tips on the occasion of International Women's Day, let's define some words related to feminism, some of which are quite new.
So let's begin with one of the most basic, and that is gender equality. So in English, this means the same access to rights and opportunities for all genders.
And in order to promote equality and detect discrimination, people have to stay woke. Now, this is a relatively new adjective that means alert to or be aware of social injustice.
Now, sometimes these kinds of injustices are easier to detect. For example, the wage gap is something easy to check. Now, the wage gap is the difference between the salary of women and men doing exactly the same job.
Yeah. And sometimes sexism at work is not as explicit, like, for example, the glass ceiling. The glass ceiling is the cultural or social behaviour that keeps women from being promoted or advance in their profession.
Nowadays, in Western countries, feminism is not as much about misogyny as before. Now, misogyny is the hatred or outright prejudice against women. For example, the belief that women shouldn't do certain professions or that they ought to stay at home.
Now, the fight for the rights of women and gender equality is more about other kinds of prejudice, which have been brought up quite recently. This has given birth to new terms that describe examples of gender discrimination.
Now, you've probably already heard of manspreading. This is something we see every day, and this is when men take up excess space by sitting with their legs really far apart and open in public places, like on the metro, for example.
Other new terms include mansplaining, which comes from the words man and explaining. And that's when a man explains something to a woman when she actually knows more about it than the man himself.
Or manterrupting, from the words man and interrupting. This is when a man interrupts a woman when he wouldn't do it to a man. Sorry, Helen, did I interrupt you?
No, you didn't. Another concept made up by two words is body shaming, which is judging a woman by her attributes when she decides to reveal her body, just because it doesn't fit the standards promoted by the media.
So these are all examples of double standards. A double standard means that a rule is applied differently to different groups or people in an unfair way.
So more and more English words are being created because as society evolves, new issues are being introduced in the agenda of feminism.
By the way, remember that agenda is a false friend. It's not a schedule or an appointment book. An agenda is a list of things to do or issues to be dealt with, for example, at a meeting. So getting familiar with all these words should be on our agenda.
Yeah. So we wish you a nice and educational International Women's Day. Bye.
Bye.